And you pulled out the word disassociative, so I want to bring that out because I don't think that this is put out there enough for parents to understand what the impact of trauma does to kids. And a lot of our kids could very easily be diagnosed with a dissociative identity disorder. And I'd love to hear your insight on that because it's so prevalent with our kids and we don't even know it.
I think this is the time when diagnosis and labels can be helpful because people do not understand, number one, complex trauma, that this is layers and layers and layers of issues leading to layers of behavioral problems. And so if people would fall back and go backwards in time on a timeline with the child and say, they're acting this way now, so this must have happened at this year and earlier this year and earlier this year, and operate and understand that the child's operating on a pure fear-based, anxiety-driven perspective. And they've been fragmented and fractionated, meaning they've been torn apart in their early developmental experiences. So what happens, and it goes along the fact that if a child has not been integrated and moving along a pathway appropriately, they're going to develop bits and pieces of management and adaptability. That means one day they may act this way, one day they may act this way, with this person they may act this way, with this person they may act another. People may say, wow, they're very adaptable. My response is no, they're very split. They're disassociating. They know how to cut off and not deal directly with the trauma, the terrible things that happened to them. So they split that off and they change it and they manifest it in terms of aberrant aggressive behaviors. If we would just take a step back and realize the more aggressive a child is, the more aggressive they've been handled. The more sexualized a child is, the more sexualized they've been handled. The more cold-blooded or indifferent a child is, the more cold-blooded they've been handled. The more depressed and quiet a child is, the more they've been locked in a box. So they develop all these segments of their personality, and it's disassociated. It's chopped up into like quadrants sometimes. And people don't understand that. They think, oh, this child has all these different ways that they can be good and bad sometimes. I tell them, no, 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 no. They are now trying to adapt, and they cannot be glued together. So we have to glue them together at some point by realizing that all these fractions of their personality mean that they're not an integrated person.
And